crack YouTubers? Welcome to my 10-year anniversary, 1,000 subscriber bonanza video of some sort. We need to, we have to make a video. We've hit 1,000 subs at this point, and I've been on YouTube for 10 years. 10 years to get to 1,000 subscribers. You can tell I've been driving hard to get there. But yeah, I asked a few weeks ago now, at this stage, at the point I'm finally getting around to recording it and getting things done. I had some questions for the 10-year video, and we hit the 1,000 subscribers since then, so we're throwing it all together. I have a few questions here, I'll read them off, and we'll just have a chat. I'll have a cup of tea, out of my happy thermal Star Wars mug, always go crack. And I'll stop rambling on and get on subject. Great cup of tea. Right, so what's the story? 10 years. I'll talk about that a little bit. 10 years. 10 years on YouTube. Quite a lot's changed. The user interface has changed quite a lot. If you go back into my old videos, I think if it would be like in that corner or that corner, I'll pop something up right around now. So I think it's that corner. I did battle reports back in around 2010, 2011. I used to play, I played a little bit in the tournament scene in 5th edition for Warhammer 40,000. And at that point in time, I distinctly remember we weren't able to upload videos that were more than 10 minutes at that point in time. So they're very rushed battle reports. They're sort of like snippets of what was happening at the time. I was using a camcorder. I still have it upstairs. It still works, but it's absolutely terrible. Thankfully technology has come along a long way. The camera I'm recording on now is a Nikon D500. It does not belong to me, I have a lens of it, but I'm trying to make the most of it while I have a lens of it. So yeah, we'll go through the questions. We've hit our 1,000 subscribers. Thank you for subscribing. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Hopefully the channel has helped you with your hobby. If you've not already watched my videos and you're new to this, I might as well use this as a sort of channel intro as well. If you haven't been subscribed to my channel, you haven't really watched my videos, the channel sort of is me and my hobby and my journey through it, and sort of how I get myself motivated. The channel is there to help me get my hobby done, get me motivated, and help other people in the same process. So if you're in the hobby already, hopefully I'm helping you to get stuff done, give you ideas even, just send out positive vibes, get new people into the fold, get people interested about orcs and wargaming, and future projects that we'll have coming down the line. It won't just be 40k orcs, I promise. I have been banging on about Battletech, but that's what I'm focusing on at the moment, so we've been banging on about that for a bit. So yeah, without further ado, let's get cracking into our questions, our first sort of Q&A of sorts. So I have a question here from Lou Lombard. He's saying, well, coming from a noob to the game, what is your favourite change from then to now? And what's the biggest letdown or changes to the game? And by the game, I reckon he means 40k. What's changed in the game? I started playing 40k properly. Now, I got into the hobby around 1997. I'll try not to ramble too much. I got into the hobby around 1997. I've told this story quite a few times on different videos. I had been tormenting my parents for roughly about 2 years. I had a friend in school who was into Warhammer, and I distinctly remember the first time I kind of went into the Games Workshop that they were talking about a new edition of 40k was going to come out, and that new edition at that point in time was 3rd edition. So when I was peripherally interested into the hobby, it was 2nd edition. I never really played 2nd edition. 3rd edition 40k would have been the 1st edition of 40k I played. I was big into Warhammer Fantasy first, more specifically Bretonnians. They were the first sort of army I went into. I always liked knights and dragons and castles, and I always liked fantasy, sci-fi. I always liked war movies as well, so I was a war gamer waiting to happen pretty much. The biggest changes to the game in Warhammer 40k, I suppose the biggest letdowns I had, I used to collect Space Wolves. My first 40k miniatures were bought for me by my grandparents on my stepfather's side of the family. my grandmother and grandfather bought me a 3rd edition Space Wolf Codex and a box set of 10 Blood Claws. I think it was for my birthday, or maybe it was for Christmas. I think it was a birthday. So they bought me the Codex and they bought me 10 Blood Claws, and that started me on Space Wolves. I stuck with Space Wolves for a good while until I played a game against a friend, Kron, so Kieran. If you're watching, Kieran, hello, it's all your fault, I'm into 40k orcs, by the way. I played a game against him. I got tabled, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the fun of playing orcs, and I enjoyed his conversions, and it was a great game, and I haven't looked back since. So I sold off my Space Wolves because I wasn't happy with the 4th edition Codex, where they were running around on giant Space Wolves, where they became more sort of Space Werewolves instead of Space Vikings. So I didn't like the vibe with the Space Wolves, so I got rid of them, sold them all off. Haven't regretted it, by the way. Absolutely loved it. And I've been with orcs ever since. And so yeah, I'd say the biggest disappointments for me were 4th edition Space Wolf Codex. And distinctly, I remember I played a lot of 5th edition, and the change from 5th to 6th edition, I hated 6th edition. Quite frankly, I hated 6th edition quite a lot. I did not like that rule set. I think I played maybe 4 games of 6th edition. That is the edition of 40k I've played the least ever since I started in the hobby. I played more games of Tour Dead as a kid, mucking around. I played some games of 4th edition, but 5th edition I played the snot out of. 6th edition I absolutely hated. Why? When it kept the orcs, changes to Furious Charge, Overwatch came in. There were a few other nerfs here and there. Psychic powers, I've never really been big into psychic powers, and I've never really been big into Hero Hammer. So one character destroying your whole army, and I just didn't like 6th edition. 5th edition wasn't perfect, I know it had its faults. There were some shenanigans with wounds being allocated to people with different gear and units, but it wasn't perfect, but I really liked 5th edition, and I was not a fan of 6th edition at all. At all. I literally read that rulebook and I was not a happy camper. But yeah, apart from that, 7th edition Orc Codex was garbage. This edition is a lot better. I like the clan rules. I'd like if the Looted Wagon was back in the Codex. But yeah, you know, things come and go, chops and changes. Overall, I'm still happy with the hobby. I'm positive. I'm enjoying it. And that's the important thing. So, we've the next question we have off of Nathan Blewett. 1. Have you much... Hold on. Sorry, I made an arse of that. How much have you painted in 10 years? Haha, he knows. I don't paint much. I've never really painted much. The only time I've had a painted army was back when the Games Workshop that I used to go to enforced a painting policy with your army. So you needed to show progress, that your army was either painted or you were progressing with the stuff that you were painted. That's the only time I've had a fully painted army. That was a Tomb King's army. And since then they dropped that policy. I used to play in Games Workshop quite a lot. They dropped that policy, and I've always been more interested in playing the game, so I was kind of known for a very long time as the guy who played with like primed miniatures and bare plastic miniatures, because it didn't bother me too much. I think it's sort of like an analysis paralysis, the sort of if you don't try you don't fail, but then you don't get anywhere with your hobby. So I used to think like that for a lot. I was more interested in the game, but I've come around. I've started painting. We're doing like a 1500 point army list challenge. Myself, Steve-O, the hobby git, aka Dim, and Dreadwa. That's actually here. I've been cracking away. That's nearly finished. I'm not far off. So I've nearly have 1500 points painted. A few miniatures here and there that have some paint on them, but not much. I own a fair chunk of miniatures. Majority of them are not painted, so I don't have much painted over the 10 years. And what armies I did have painted, I sold off, so not much. And the second part of his question is, how big is the WA compared to the start? It's pretty big. I'd have to dig it out. The last time I did a video, I'll put it up here. I pulled some stuff out, but I've brought it out onto tables. But I'll do that again at some point. I have a lot of stuff that isn't built. I've found more stuff since I did that video. I've actually started painting stuff, so I've been cracking on. I've at least 10,000 points of orcs, I'd say. They're my only 40k army, they're what I focus on. So I reckon I've at least 10k of them. We've a question here off of Peter Walsh. What's been your favourite orc unit / model over the years, and where would you like to see orcs go in terms of models and lore? What's been my favourite orc unit model over the years? That's a good one. I'd say my favourite orc unit over the years when it comes to playing the game for me would be my Ludas. I learned pretty early on that you needed to have a fire support unit to keep the enemy's head down or keep them distracted, and Ludas have always filled that role for me, just because of the 48-inch range. And when they roll really good, it puts puts your opponent's heart in their mouth. So people tend to try and go for the Ludas, and that meant that they weren't going for my boys. I've always liked foot slogging boys. I've got loads of different lists I like to try, but I specifically like starting with foot slogging boys. And when I only just brought boys, I noticed they were getting picked off, so I started with Ludas. And most games I bring some Ludas. They're like one of the backbone units of my army. I just like how they play. I like having the fire support. Even if they get shot off the board, it means they're busy shooting down instead of the boys. So that's probably one of my favourite orc units. My favourite model over the years. My favourite model. My favourite orc model? That's another hard one, man. There's so many that are good. I like the commandos. I like the metal commandos that we have before they became Finecast. I bought all of my stuff before Finecast came in, so I dodged that bullet. I feel really bad for any of the new guys coming in to the hobby right now and they have to put up with Failcast. I feel really bad for them, but hopefully we'll get a reboot in the line and we'll get some plastic specialist units. That would be awesome. Where would I like to see orcs go in terms of models and lore? I'd like to see a plastic multi-part Warboss kit. That is essential. We need it. We're dying for it. I'd like to see a plastic custom force field big mech. Currently at this point in time we don't have one. We probably will though soon enough, because we've got rules in the Saga of the Beast, or whatever it's called, Saga of the Wolf, the Psychic Awakening book. What else? Multi-part plastic Death Copter kit. I say commandos already, I think. Multi-part plastic Tank Busters kit. Multi-part plastic kits. More of, please. More wall bosses, weird boy plastic kits, stuff that's better than the Pain Boy kit. I'm not a massive fan of like these monopose things that they're going with Games Workshop, but you know, we'll see how it goes. And where would I like to see the orcs go in terms of lore? They're going grand. Like, orcs are loving it. Orcs are loving the lore at this moment in time. There's a giant rift, Gork screen in the middle of the 40k universe, and there's demons coming out and orcs going in, and there's fights everywhere. Orcs are chuffed. Brilliant. Happy with the lore. There's war everywhere. Couldn't be happier. Steve-O has asked, how has YouTube changed over those 10 years? What was it like back then dealing with restrictions on the tech of the time? Like I said, we could only really do like 10-minute videos, so the format that you were doing for battle reports, you just had to be quick. When I went to the tournaments, yeah, I was just trying to be time conscious and being quick, and it was just the way it was. Restrictions technology wise, I had a really terrible, it was like an Olympus Tough was another camera I had. If you go into some of my really old videos, the audio was terrible. I apologise. It was just the stuff that I had at the time. We're going back 10 years. Cameras, smartphones have come along since then. Like, technology's come along a hell of a lot more, and it's a lot easier now. So it's good. It's come on leaps and bounds. The user interface for YouTube, my mentality of it is if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But they keep messing with stuff. But you know, whatever. It still works. You change with the times. Times are always changing, you know. Artie Freeman is asking, have you been building that grot tank since the beginning? No, I've not been building the grot tank since the beginning. I still haven't finished it. It's getting its attention again. I've done a little bit more work since my first sort of building competition, but it's another one of my projects that isn't quite finished. It seems to be a trend with orc players, not just myself, having half finished projects. But you know, we'll get there eventually. Second question often was, when are you coming over to play with Dread again? When the lockdown is over and I'm allowed to travel more than 5 kilometres from my household by decree of the Irish government, I will try my best to get over there as soon as possible and get a game in Dread. How lonely was it on YouTube before Dread arrived? It wasn't lonely at all. There was a community beforehand. It was a lot quieter before Dread came on YouTube. But yeah, where's my Yorkshire tea? He's quite a few of them. Your Yorkshire tea, or you mean the tea that I bought for you, is in a little pile of gifts I have for when I go to visit Dread. So you'll be sorted, bud. Don't worry. 5. Did I have hair then? I did have hair back then, but I seem to have lost it over time. I think I've had a receding hairline since I was about 18, 19, sort of. So, you know, it's been disappearing. I wish the rest of it would disappear as well. I wouldn't mind if it all fell out. For shaving me having to cut it, but sure, what can you do? At least I still have me good looks and me Irish charm, you know. As convincing as that sounds. 6. If you've been around that long, are you one of those who started getting paid by YouTube only to have it taken away again and when they moved the goalposts? Technically, yes. I think it was like you had to have 400 subscribers and not as much watch time to be monetized on YouTube. I did qualify for that, but I wasn't really into monetizing my channel. That's not why I made the channel. I was like, oh, you know. So maybe I should have monetized some stuff, but I've never really been focused to be around being monetized. Like now I wouldn't mind if I became monetized on YouTube. I just need to get my watch time up. But it's not the sole focus of the channel. The channel is just to get me and my hobby going and helping other people. If I make a little bit of coin to help pay for the very expensive hobby that I'm into, all well and good. If I don't, it's not the end of the world. And his last one, 7. Would you say it's become more or less enjoyable, or were the best years somewhere in the middle? I had some really good years at the start because I got in with the community then. There was quite a few guys like Canvas One, Spud was another one of the guys from my Ventrilo days, Engineer Jeff, Vanhammer. There's still a few guys who are knocking around. I still talk to them these days. Katata Fish, Clarkson as well. So there's a few guys from the old Ventrilo days, like, and it was good then it sort of waned off, and we all went our separate ways, sort of. Life, I went off and did stuff, so I've been into YouTube, but I haven't been constant with it. So, you know yourself, like, life gets in the way for some stuff, and then I'm back at it now, and we're building an Orky community, and with Steve-O and Dread, and yeah, Tim Reaper, and we're having great crack. We're making new friends. Old friends are coming back again. Minutes and the Sun's back on the scene. Good man. And yeah, we're seeing a lot of the old faces popping up again. So it's good times. Good times at the start. Waned in the middle. Great times now. Loving it. Stuart A. Williams. Speak of the devil. Do you miss the old days of Vent, and why? I do miss having the chats that we used to have in Vent. For those of you who don't know, Ventrilo was a program we used to use to chat to each other back in the day. It's kind of like what we're doing now with Discord. So I do miss those old days. I do miss talking to those people. But you know, it's just the way people go in different ways in life. Hopefully we can get some of those old geezers back onto the Discord and get on chatting. We're up there most of the nights now. We should have a link below in the description for Discord, so get your ass over there. You have no excuses. Get hobby done. It's great crack, man. Good motivation. Early Freeman. Now there's another question in here, the Snaky Devil. According to analytics, how many users have used subtitles in English? I think it was like less than 1%. I have a question here from Ant Lachlan. I was thinking about asking you when you're planning on finishing that grot tank, but I'll save it for your 20th year vid. You smug kid. You know me so well. Richard Harrison, how is it you've managed to become an even bigger gobshite than before? Practice. Lots and lots of practice. Yep. Colin McKeown is saying, my question is, why are they changing the orc team For example, if a gun had no bullets, it worked. The guns worked in orcs' hands and no one else. I love this orky thing. So you're talking about orky resonance and about how things seem to magically work. That's not quite how it works with orcs. But I think like the crux of what you're saying is Games Workshop have never really nailed down and decided this is what 40k orcs are. I think it depends on who's in the studio as to what the lore is and what the rules are. That's why if you look at 40k orcs, especially at the very early days, like Rogue Trader 2nd edition, they're very sort of vain, very sort of zany, had a lot of humour, and some crazy contraptions. And then 3rd edition they changed to like these sort of killing, brutish monsters. That was influenced by Gork and Morka. You know, they became less about being shooty, more close combat orientated. And it's sort of, it's almost like there's nobody in Games Workshop HQ who does this kind of stuff who's really into orcs, seems to be my perception. But, you know, my opinion would be biased in that regard because I'm just into orcs. So, yeah, it's Games Workshop, I don't know. I don't think they've decided what they want orcs to be. They can't really put their thumb on what they want the faction to be, hence why it sort of changes of what it is, kind of ish. Another question here. These ones are from Discord. The War Boss. What's been your drive to keep it going this long? Do you have a favourite video? What do you enjoy, dislike about YouTubing? Like I said, I've sort of dropped in and out over the years, but I've still stuck with it. What's been the drive? It's mostly just for me and me hobby, just to keep it going, and the friends that you sort of meet along the way in the community. That's what brings me back to it, sort of. Do I have a favourite video? Do I have a favourite video of my own? I like the hobby hangouts. Like I really enjoy the hobby hangouts. The 2 Bald Knob series I enjoy making as well. Yeah, like some of the hobby hangouts are absolutely cracking and they're really good. I seem to be enjoying them a lot. I don't think I have any one video that's a particular favourite of mine, but I do like the hobby hangout series and the 2 Bald Knob series that you can find. There's playlists below if you want to check them out. If you go to the channel. Yeah. What do you enjoy, dislike about YouTubing? What do I enjoy about it? The community that comes from it. Like, you make a lot of friends as well, like people you come across. But I find like the hobby itself does that, where you'll make friends with people that you wouldn't under normal walks of life. You wouldn't come across them. So that's what I like about YouTube. And the thing I dislike about YouTubing, it's sort of personal. Well, it's not just me personally, but humans in general. We sort of focus too much on negativity, so it can kind of it can knock you if you're not prepared mentally for it. Like you might get 20 likes and 1 dislike, or you might get 100 good comments and 1 bad comment. And the psychology of how we work is we tend to focus on the negative. It takes a while to learn how to deal with it. It doesn't really bother me because it's just me hobby. You know what I mean? I think it would be different if you were approaching it as a business. I think I'd find it'd be a different kettle of fish then. So I could understand how it could be stressful for people. But for me, like, I'm happy out, like, you know what I mean? Bad Moon Bill is asking, what's your favourite Warhammer or third-party orc model? I think we sort of touched on that already. Yeah, like my favourite unit is Ludas. But specific orc miniature, Snickra, metal Snickra. I really like the Snickra model. Yeah, he's a really good model. But I'm a Blood Axe, so I'm biased in that regard. Some of the tin bots from back in the day, they look really cool. Yeah, probably like Snickra and the Tin Boys. Yeah, definitely. Bennett 464 is asking me, do you still have your force model that you painted? I do, Bennett. I'll try and throw a picture up, maybe on the voiceover or some point. It's a Bretonnian archer from the 5th edition starter painting set, where you got, I think it was 4 or 6 Bretonnian archers and 9 paints and a paintbrush. That was the very first box set of Warhammer I ever bought. I was taught by the guys in GW Blanchardstown back in the day, when it was still there. That's where I learned to paint. They taught me how to tin my paints, they taught me how to dry brush, and I painted some Bretonians. The one I still have, an omen of things to come, is only base coated. He wasn't fully finished painted. I had one or two. I think I put a little bit more paint, but he's from the same batch, so he's one of the guys from that era. So I still have him. What is your passion project right now? My passion project, like I said already, is getting these 1500 points painted up. Right now, at this very moment of time, last night I was painting up some grots for the list. I think there's about 30 grots-ish in the list, so I've been painting up grots. It's the first time I've bothered to fully paint my grots. I think I bought a box set back when the plastic ones first came out. I'm using the plastic grots to keep down on the weight for when I fly to the UK to get a game in with Steve-O. So that's kind of influencing my list, is plastic miniatures and stuff I can transport in that art case. Manarchy, yeah, that was his. Colin is asking, what is something you would have done different, and what is something you are proud of? What would I have done different? I tried to be more consistent with YouTube on my hobby. I think if I had done hobby hangouts more often, or even just hobby updates, to keep myself accountable on the channel and on my hobby, I would have progressed so much further. There is part of me that was thinking if only I painted like a couple of miniatures every week, I'd have a massive horde painted up. But it's not the end of the world. We still have like how many years of hobby left. I've been in it since I was about, I've been in it since I was 9. So, and I'm in my early 30s. I'm 31 now. So if I've been at the hobby for 22 years, I don't think I'm gonna quit it at this stage. So, you know, I don't have much painted now, but who knows, 10 years from now I might have more. Bennett asks, what precautions should we take to avoid a toilet paper shortage? Don't panic, boy. That would always help. Or maybe recycle your toilet paper. That would also help. Or have a bidet, or I don't know. Stop taking pills. There you go, there's another way to save on toilet paper. Mork and Gork is asking, what do you feel is the biggest changes to YouTube for good or bad since you started, or how many grots does it take to build a tank? It takes more than Muggins here to build a grot tank. Let's see what you're getting at there. In regards to grots, I don't know, maybe 10, 20, but maybe the more or grots you add to building the tank, they're going to squabble and fight, so maybe less grots to build the tank is the way to go about it. Sort of a too many chefs spoil the broth type of mentality I'd have with it. The biggest changes to YouTube, the whole likes, dislikes things. I remember you used to be able to give YouTube video star ratings. You used to also be able to do video replies to people's videos, where you'd be able to attach your videos onto them. That was a pretty cool feature until people started abusing that mechanic. So things like that, they've changed in that regard. And the subscription feed's gone to garbage and notifications, all that type of stuff. Yeah. Oh, and one last thing, I was asked to show what I have painted. I made a video. It was a few weeks ago now, so I've actually gotten quite a fair bit painted since then. But I'm gonna throw in that video that I did. I don't have very much painted. If you've already watched the video, you already know that. But I'll cut this part in because the camera ran out. So yeah, I'll play that now. So here we are, folks. This is what we have painted up so far. It's not much, but it's a few bits and pieces. We'll bring you down closer to have a close look now in a second. But we have the old school mob. Center of screen, Sugar Chopper Boys. I don't plan on using them long term. We've got a Pain Boy, Wabbatter Knob, Big Mech with custom force field. We've a mob of 30 shooter boys in the front. We've 10 looters to the left of them. Then there's a mob of another 30 shooter boys. Another 2 mobs of 10 looters to the back and left of them as well. And then we've a mob of 30 shooter boys over in the top of the screen there, and right in the middle we have 20 Slugger Chopper Boys. So I'll cut and we'll go down and have a closer look.
So here we are. This is the first mob of 30 shooter boys that I started off with. These are the guys I kind of burned out on. They are the ones who are mostly done. They're not 100%. I'm aiming just to get a tabletop standard with a lot of this stuff. So these guys are mostly done. There's the unit of 10 looters beside them that still need a good chunk of work, but they're tabletop alright. These mob of 30 shooter boys behind them are like my tabletop basic I'm sort of aiming for the army, just to get base coats on and then start throwing washes on after that. The 10 looters to the left there, they're like basic as well. These 10 looters in the very back are probably the most painted out of the looters because I have colours picked out of them, as you can tell. Then we have another mob of 30 shooter boys. They're getting along there. I think the knob I broke his weapon, that's why it's a bit plastic on the front. I've gone through and drilled most of these guys' barrels. I think the only one I haven't done is these 20 slugger chopper boys. Coming along, tabletop basic as well. And then we have our old mob here, which is from the video that I will throw a card up for in the corner of the screen now, so you can go back and look at the 10 years ago, my very first YouTube video. They've taken some casualties. I think I've changed the knob, or I made a knob for them anyway not too long ago because it's the same paint scheme, and I put this guy on a 32mm base. These were painted in foundations and using the original washes, hence their skin tone being totally different to my more sort of contemporary units like these shooter boys knobs. I've gone to a different colour scheme altogether, so I won't really be using these guys for battles. When we're doing up our 1500 point armies, I'll be using this mob, one of the other shooter boy mobs, and 20 slugger chopper boy mobs and the looters, and then our characters. So like the likes of our pain boy here, he's like okay for tabletop. We've our wab on our knob. He's looking alright. Still got a bit of work to do to him, and the big mech with custom force field, and there's a fair old chunk of work done to him, but you know, he's got some green on him, so we're getting there. That is the standard that we have of painted miniatures so far. So there you go, guys. That's my sort of 10-year, 1,000 subscriber sort of painting progress army I've got done so far. Like I said, I've more done, but I'll save that for looking at my 1500 point army. It all fits in this for travelling to the UK and beating Steve-O's ass with it. His bad mules, give him a good kicking, steal some teeth, knock some out. I'll go over that in another video, specifically about the 1500 point army. Some of the miniatures I went over there aren't part of that 1500 point army. That's just what I have painted of orcs. It's not very much, very shamefully. I didn't plink away at painting over the years, but we're getting there. We're building it up, and yeah, so it should be good time. So you know, you have that to look forward to, the 1500 point list, and then eventually the battle reports against Dread and Steve-O and Dim. So yeah, good times ahead. Thanks for being subscribed. If you've liked the video, please hit the like button. If you're not already subscribed, feel free to join in and hit notifications and all that. And check out some of the other channels as well if you're on my channel. Like Steve-O, Dreadwa Gaming, the Hobby Git, which is Dim Reaper, and the War Bosses, yeah, that channel as well that all four of us run. We've the Discord. The Discord's running really well. Quite a lot of guys in there doing hobby now most nights, chatting away, doing hobby. And we've the 40k Orc community group on Facebook. So if you want to join in on the fun that we're having and you want to get cracking on a YouTube channel of your own, I suggest you do so. Feel free to ask questions. If there's anything that myself or the other guys can help you with, don't be afraid to ask. You know what I mean? We are genuinely there to help people. We're there to be positive and build something. We're not, yeah, we're not going to push people away. We're here to have a good fun with our hobby and help other folk do the same. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Take it easy.